The strange encounter, the station lights flickered as the humans stepped off the transport. The corridors smelled of oil, smoke, and the faint metallic tang of recycled air. To the alien workers passing by, he was just another traveler, another face in the endless tide of species that drifted through this hub. But to her, the moment he arrived, something changed. She froze near a merchant stall, her hands trembling as she gripped the edge of a crate. Her chest tightened, her breathing unsteady. The scent, it wrapped around her like invisible chains. Not the smell of oil, not the sharp metal of the air systems. No, this was different. This was him, the human. And it awakened something inside her that she had fought her whole life to bury. The human himself walked calmly, unaware. His boots clicked against the steel floor, echoing down the passage. He looked simple, harmless even, a traveler with a worn jacket and tired eyes. He greeted a passing alien with a small nod, his voice quiet, his smile soft. He had no idea what his very presence was doing to her. Her people had warnings, old whispers shared in hushed tones. They said humans carried something beyond sight or sound, something that could slip into the mind, into the body, and stir instincts that should remain asleep. She had never believed those stories. Until now, her claws pressed into the crate so hard she almost cracked the surface. Her eyes burned, her throat tightened. Every step he took pulled her closer. Like gravity itself had shifted, her mind screamed to turn away, to run, but her body betrayed her. She could feel her pulse racing, pounding louder than the station's humming engines. The human was not even looking at her, yet she could not escape him. He stopped at a vendor stand, examining a small silver device. His voice carried when he asked the price. The sound slid across her skin like fire. She pressed her lips tight, trying not to gasp. Every movement he made, every casual gesture, it pulled at something inside her. Her instincts were breaking free, claws scratching at the walls of her control. Other aliens walked past without noticing. They did not feel what she felt. For them, the human was just another face, another scent among many. But for her, he was the storm. She tried to look away, but the more she resisted, the more the pull grew. Her breathing quickened, her vision blurred. Why him? Why now? Her species had strict training. She had spent years mastering her impulses, holding back the violent hunger that slept within her blood. But the human scent made all that training crumble like dust. It was not just attraction, not just curiosity. It was survival, instinct, and something darker, something her people had feared for generations. The human turned suddenly, and his eyes met hers. Just for a second, only a glance, but in that glance she felt her world tilt. She tore her gaze away, shaking, her legs threatening to give way. Did he notice? Did he sense her weakness? No. His face was calm, neutral, unaware. That was worse. He had no idea what power he carried with every breath. Her heartbeat thundered. Her claws clicked against the crate as she released her grip. She stumbled backward, nearly crashing into another passerby. The alien growled at her clumsiness, but she didn't hear. All she could hear was the echo of the human's footsteps, the sound drawing her deeper into danger. She ducked into a shadowed corner, pressing her back against the wall. Her breath came fast, uneven. The scent lingered in her lungs, in her mind, twisting her thoughts into knots. She tried to whisper to herself, tried to remind herself of who she was. A soldier, a survivor, someone who had control. But the truth gnawed at her. She was slipping, and it was because of him. The human paused not far away, studying a map on the wall, his brow furrowed, his hand brushing his hair back. To him, this was a simple day, a journey, nothing more. He could not see the storm he had unleashed just by existing. Her instincts screamed louder now, every fiber of her being pulled toward him. Her body demanded she act, but her mind fought to resist. She closed her eyes, trying to steady herself. But when she opened them again, he was walking closer, 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 until she could feel the air shift with his presence. Her breath caught, her throat burned. This was wrong, so wrong, but she could not move. The human passed her corner without a glance. His scent slammed into her like a wave. Her claws dug into her palms. Her teeth clenched, her control cracked, her body trembling. She almost reached out, almost touched him. But at the last second, she pulled back, pressing herself hard against the wall. Her chest heaved, her vision darkened at the edges. He was gone now, walking deeper into the station, but his presence still filled her. And she knew, with a cold shiver, this was only the beginning. Asterisk the pull she can't resist. The human left the market ring, unaware of the storm he carried with him. His steps were steady, his movements calm, but every second he walked, the pull inside her grew stronger. Her heart pounded against her ribs, begging her to follow. And before she realized it, her feet were already moving. The station corridors twisted like a maze, full of noise and smoke, but she could hear his footsteps, even through the crowd. It was as if her ears had tuned to him alone. Every sound he made carved into her mind. Every breath he exhaled seemed to reach her, even across the room. She told herself to stop, to turn back. She told herself this was madness, that she was losing control, but her body ignored her. Her claws flexed at her sides. Her tail lashed with unease. Something ancient and buried was awakening, and she could not cage it. He passed a group of armored traders. Nodding politely, the scent followed him, wrapping around her like fire and smoke. It burned, it twisted, it made her knees weak. She pressed against the wall to steady herself, but the pull only grew. Her body shook, her chest tightened. Why him? Why only him? Her people's stories echoed in her memory, old warnings whispered by elders. Beware the scent of humanity. It binds, it breaks, it enslaves. She had laughed at those words once. Now she could not laugh, not with her body betraying her, not with her heart racing so fast it hurt. The human paused at a window overlooking the docking bay. The silver hulls of ships reflected against the stars. He leaned on the railing, watching the traffic outside. To him it was ordinary. To her it was unbearable. She lingered in the shadows behind him, her breathing ragged, the air between them felt alive, vibrating with unseen power. Her claws scraped lightly against the wall, fighting to anchor herself. The pull was not gentle, not soft. It was raw, violent, demanding. Her instincts screamed at her to close the distance, to step forward, to claim him. Her throat ached with the growl rising from within. She bit it back, her lips trembling. If he turned now, if he saw her like this, he would know the truth, and the truth was terrifying. He shifted slightly, glancing at his wristband. She flinched as if struck. The smallest motion from him sent a shock through her. She could no longer deny it. The scent was binding her. Her ancestors had warned of this curse. Now she lived it. Trapped in its grip, other aliens brushed past her without noticing. But one merchant paused, frowning at her trembling stance. "You look sick," the alien muttered before walking away. If only it was sickness. If only it was something that could be cured. But this was no sickness. It was something older, something carved into her. Blood. The human finally turned from the window. He walked again, heading toward the habitat sectors. Her breath caught as he moved past her hiding spot. The scent struck again, harder than before. She staggered forward, almost collapsing. He didn't even glance her way. His ignorance was a knife. He did not know he was dragging her into madness. She followed, closer now, her claws flexing, her eyes glowing faintly. Every step he took was a chain pulling at her. Her chest heaved. Her body begged for release. Her instincts told her he was not just a man. He was survival. He was fate, and she could not escape him. He entered a quieter hall, the noise of the market fading behind. The lights flickered. Shadows stretched across the walls. She swallowed hard, her throat burning here. Away from the crowd, the pull grew unbearable. Her control frayed, breaking strand by strand. Her hand lifted without her meaning to, reaching toward him, her claws shook in the air, inches from his back. But she froze. If she touched him, there would be no turning back. If she touched him, she would never be free again. Her knees buckled, and she fell to one side, pressing against the wall, her breathing ragged. Sweat dripping down her skin, the human walked on, still calm, still unaware, her eyes filled with both fear and hunger. She whispered to herself, voice cracking, I can't stop this. The words echoed in the empty hall, and for the first time in her life, she realized she was no longer in control. Asterisk. Whispers of old warnings. The alien girl staggered back to her quarters, her body shaking. The human scent still clung to her lungs. Her skin, her mind, no matter how far she walked, she could not escape it. It was inside her now, burning, twisting, binding. She collapsed onto the cold floor, pressing her palms against her face. Her claws scratched her skin as she whispered to herself, this cannot be real. This cannot be happening. But she knew the truth. She had heard the old warnings when she was a child. Elders told them stories of humanity, not of their weapons, not of their machines, but of something stranger. They spoke of the binding scent, the curse hidden in the blood of humans. Long ago, her people had encountered it. Warriors stronger than her had fallen to it. It had broken empires. It had turned soldiers into slaves of instinct. The stories were old, too old, and she had never believed them. Now every word of those whispers clawed at her heart. Her hands trembled as she reached for the old data tablet she kept hidden. She had always mocked the superstitions of her people. But the archives were real. The texts described how humans walked among stars and unknowingly carried this strange power. Alien races tried to study it, tried to name it, but all their science failed. In the end, they called it what it was. Weapon of nature. One no human even understood. One no alien could resist. Her claws tapped the tablet screen, scrolling through broken records. The words blurred as her breathing quickened. Those who inhale the human scent are bound. Their instincts awaken. Their control dies. They will follow. They will break. They will obey. Her eyes widened, her chest heaving. The stories were true, and now it was happening to her. She slammed the tablet shut, growling low in her throat. Her body was trembling. With hunger. Not for food, not for water, but for him, the human. She shook her head violently, claws scratching the wall. No, I will not be broken. I will not become one of them. But even as she spoke, her body betrayed her. Her senses stretched out. Seeking him through the walls of the station, she could almost hear his heartbeat even from across the levels. She could almost feel his warmth, and that terrified her more than anything. A knock echoed at her door. She froze, her claws twitching, her tail curling tight. A fellow soldier stood outside. You were seen following the human, the soldier said bluntly. What are you doing? Do you want trouble with the council? Her throat locked, her words nearly choked. I was only curious, she lied, her voice strained. The soldier narrowed their eyes, then leaned closer. Be careful. The elders say humans are dangerous. Their scent can poison the mind. Do not let him catch you staring, or worse. Breathing him in, she flinched, her claws sinking into her palm. The soldier turned and left, footsteps fading, but her heart thundered louder. They suspected, and suspicion could kill her. She slumped against the door, gasping. She was trapped. If the others discovered what was happening, they would lock her away, maybe kill her. No one was allowed to be weak. No one was allowed to fall. Yet here she was, already falling, already broken, and the human did not even know. Her mind screamed for her to stay away from him, but her body was already moving again. Her legs carried her out of the room, down the corridors. Her claws dragged against the walls, as if she needed the pain to keep control. But the closer she drew to him, the less control she had. Every step was heavier, every breath filled with the taste of him. She could not fight it. Not anymore. She reached the habitat sector where the human had gone. The halls were quieter here, filled with shadows. She stopped. Pressing her claws into the steel floor, her eyes glowed faintly, her chest rising and falling in ragged rhythm. And then she heard his voice, soft, calm, ordinary, but to her it was thunder. It was fire. It was the end of her will. He was speaking. With the station attendant asking for directions, he laughed softly at something the attendant said. That laugh carved straight through her. Her body trembled, her vision swam. She pressed herself against the wall, gasping silently. Her heart screamed one truth. If she did not leave now, she would not survive the night, but she did not leave. She stayed, hidden in the shadows, watching him, breathing him, drowning in him. Every second burned her from the inside, and in that burning, she understood the old warnings were not just whispers. They were prophecy, and she was living it. Asterisk the moment of collapse. The station's central corridor was alive with movement. Merchants shouted prices. Guards barked orders. Engines roared. In the docks above, and in the middle of it all, walked the human, steady and calm. He carried no weapon, no armor, no sign of power. Yet to her, he was the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. She had followed him again, though she swore she wouldn't. Her claws scraped against her thighs as she walked, trying to ground herself. Her eyes burned with hunger she could not name. Every breath carried his scent deeper into her body. Her blood sang with fire. Her instincts howled. She could not hold them back forever. The crowd parted slightly as he moved, not because they feared him, but because humans always drew stares. Different, strange, unpredictable. He smiled politely at a merchant, asked a question about food. That smile hit her harder than a weapon. Her knees weakened, her heart stumbled, her claws twitched, scraping against the steel floor. She whispered to herself, "Control it, control it, control it." But the words were ash, her body was no. Longer listening, her chest rose and fell in frantic rhythm. Her tail lashed behind her. Other aliens began to notice. A guard frowned at her stance, muttering something under his breath. She ignored him. Her eyes locked on the human. He picked up a piece of fruit from the merchant's stand, lifted it to his nose, sniffed lightly. The motion was ordinary, harmless, but to her, it was the breaking point. Her vision blurred, her claws clenched. A growl tore from her throat before she could stop it. The crowd shifted uneasily. The guard's hand went to his weapon. The merchant backed away, sensing something wrong, but the human only looked confused, turning his head slightly as if searching for the sound. His eyes passed over her for a heartbeat. That single glance set her on fire. The world tilted, her. Breath snapped, and then she collapsed forward. She hit the ground on her knees, claws scratching deep lines into the metal floor. Her head bowed, her body trembling violently. The scent flooded her mind like a storm. Every barrier inside her shattered. Every wall she had built across years of training fell in pieces. The hunger, the instinct, the curse, it all roared to life. The guard stepped closer, barking. "What are you doing?" "Stand down." But she couldn't answer, couldn't move. Her body betrayed her, jerking, shaking. Her eyes glowed faintly. Her throat released a growl, not meant for speech. The crowd stepped back in alarm. They had seen strange things before, but this was different. This was primal, dangerous, wrong. The human moved forward slowly, his brows knit with concern, not fear. He crouched slightly, his voice calm. "Are you hurt? Do you need help?" The words were soft, gentle, and they broke her even further. Because she did not hear kindness, she heard command. Her instincts twisted his concern into ownership. Her claws dug deeper into the floor, sparks flashing. Her body arched as if pulled by invisible chains toward him. The guard raised his weapon now, shouting at the human. "Step back, she's unstable." But the human shook his head, still watching her. "She's not dangerous," he said firmly. The crowd gasped at his certainty, but he was wrong. She was dangerous, deadly. She could feel the storm inside her building. If she touched him, if she gave in, the station itself might burn. Her body lunged a step forward, claws scraping. The guard cursed, preparing to fire, but the human raised his hand, stopping him. Her eyes locked on that hand, every nerve in her body screamed to take it. Her throat released a sound. It was not a growl, and not a scream, something in between. Half pain, half need. The sound made the crowd retreat even further. Fear spreading fast, the human spoke again, softer now. "I don't know what's happening to you, but I'm not your enemy." The words washed over her like water. Her body froze, trembling violently. Her claws hovered inches from his chest. One step more, and she would lose everything. Her breath came in ragged gasps. Her vision swam with fire and shadows. But then, he smiled, a simple human smile, calm and warm, and the storm inside her exploded. She screamed, falling back against the wall. Her claws tore deep lines into the steel, sparks flying. The crowd shrieked and scattered. The guard shouted into his. "Come," calling for backup. The human remained still, eyes wide now. For the first time he realized this was not curiosity. This was not sickness. This was something far more dangerous. She slumped against the wall, her chest heaving, her eyes locked on him even as her body shook. The truth was clear now. She could not resist him, and the galaxy could not remain blind to what humans carried inside them, because this was only the beginning. Asterisk. The humans' confusion, the chaos in the corridor slowly died down. Guards dragged the crowd away, sealing the area, but the human remained, his eyes fixed on her trembling figure. He should have walked away, should have left her to the station. Guards, yet something inside him refused. He could not leave her like this. She leaned against the wall, claws buried deep in the steel. Her chest rose and fell in violent rhythm. Her glowing eyes locked on him, wild and broken. He took a careful step forward, ignoring the guard's warning shout. Her body tensed instantly, every muscle pulling toward him. The bond grew stronger with every inch he closed. The air felt heavy, charged like a storm before lightning. He lifted his hands slowly, speaking gently. "Tell me what's happening to you." His voice was calm, but his heart pounded inside his chest. He could see her fear, her pain, but he could also feel something else. A strange pressure in the air, like gravity itself shifting. He had never felt it before, but it was real. It was her, and somehow it was connected to him. She shook her head, her breath shuddering. "You don't understand. You can't understand." Her words were strained, broken, almost a growl. He frowned, lowering his voice further. "Then explain it to me. I'm not your enemy." The sincerity in his tone cut straight through her. Her instincts twisted it again, making the kindness into command. Her claws scraped the wall as her body pulled toward him. She squeezed her eyes shut, whispering, "You're sent. It has bound me. It won't let me go." The human froze. Her words made no sense. Yet her trembling body, her glowing eyes, her collapse in the market, all of it pointed to something real. He wanted to dismiss it, to say she was delirious, hallucinating. But deep down he knew she was telling the truth. Something about him had triggered this storm inside her. And if that was true, it meant he was carrying something he didn't even know existed. The guard stepped between them, weapon raised. "That's enough. Human, step back. She's dangerous." But the human shook his head firmly. "No, she's not dangerous. Suffering, the guard hissed. Suffering or not, she almost attacked you. Do you not see what she is? The human's jaw tightened. I see someone fighting something bigger than herself. The guard's grip on the weapon faltered, confused by the human's calmness. But she, trembling against the wall, could not look away from him. Her body swayed toward him again. She tried to stop it, but her legs betrayed her. Her claws scraped the floor as she stumbled forward. Her voice cracked, desperate. You don't know what you are to us. You don't know what your kind does, 1 cent. One touch, and we break. Her eyes locked on his with a mixture of terror and hunger. And I'm already breaking. The human's chest tightened. He wanted to reach out, to steady her. But every instinct told him that if he touched her, everything would shatter. Her words rang in his head. You don't know what you are. It chilled him. What did she mean? What was hidden inside humanity that no one had told them? Another guard arrived, barking orders into his cum. They'll take her to containment, he growled. The human stepped forward instantly, blocking them. No, he said firmly. You'll kill her in there, the guard sneered. Better her than the whole station. The human's fists clenched, his eyes burning with resolve. She needs help, not chains. The two stared each other down, but in the silence her voice cut through again, broken, raw. If they cage me, I won't survive. If they take me away from your scent, I'll die. The guards froze at her confession. The human felt his heart slam against his chest. This wasn't attraction. It wasn't obsession. It was survival. She was tethered to him in ways neither of them understood. And if she was right, then her life depended on him staying close. The guard lowered his weapon slightly. Unsettled, then what are you suggesting, human? That you keep her with you? That you let this thing bind to you? The human didn't answer right away. He looked at her trembling, broken, eyes glowing with need and fear. And in that moment, he knew he couldn't abandon her. Even if it meant stepping into a danger he could not see. Even if it meant uncovering truths about humanity itself. He drew a slow breath, his voice steady. She stays with me. The guards exchanged uncertain looks, but the human's tone carried a weight they couldn't deny. He didn't know why, but something deep inside told him this was only the beginning. And the galaxy was not ready for what was coming. Asterisk the breaking point. The air in the station corridor felt heavy. Every guard's hand hovered near their weapons. Every alien who remained pressed against the walls, eyes wide, and in the center, stood the human, calm but tense. Beside him, the alien girl trembled, her claws gouging the steel floor. She was breaking. Her body shook as if something inside was tearing her apart. Her eyes glowed brighter now, burning with fire. The scent filled her lungs until she could barely breathe. Her instincts screamed, no longer whispering but roaring. One truth clawed through every part of her being. He was hers, and nothing could change that. The guards barked warnings, shouting for her to stand down. She growled, her voice low and guttural. I can't stop this. The human glanced at her, worry etched across his face. He spoke gently, his voice cutting through the noise. Then fight it, stay with me, don't let it win. But his words twisted inside her instincts. They didn't sound like encouragement, they sounded like command. And her body obeyed. With a sudden lunge, she closed the distance. The crowd gasped. The guards raised weapons. But instead of striking, she dropped to one knee before him. Her claws dug deep into the floor. Her head bowed low. Her voice shook as she cried out, This human is mine. His scent has claimed me. I cannot deny it anymore. The corridor erupted in chaos. Some shouted in shock, others in horror. Guards cursed, unsure whether to attack or retreat. The human froze, his eyes wide. He had expected fear, perhaps violence, but not this, never this. Her declaration rang like thunder through the station. Every alien who heard it understood. What it meant The old warnings, the ancient prophecies, they were true. One guard snarled, voice sharp with fear, "Restrain her, before she loses full control." But another shook his head, trembling. "No, it's too late. She's bound." The human stepped forward quickly, holding up his hand. "No one touches her," he said firmly. His tone carried strange weight. The guards hesitated, even as their training screamed at them to act. And in that pause, the girl lifted her head, her glowing eyes locking onto his. Her voice was raw, torn between agony and devotion. "You don't understand what this means. You don't understand what your kind is." Her claws scraped the floor as she leaned closer. "My people feared this for generations, we thought. It was legend, but it is real, and now it binds me to you." Her chest heaved, her breath ragged. "I am yours, human, whether you want me or not." The human staggered back, shock flooding him. He had never asked for this, never wanted power over anyone. But now, before dozens of witnesses, he had it, not by choice, but by nature. His heart pounded. If this was true, if one human could bind another species with nothing but scent, then what would happen if the galaxy realized? The guards whispered. Among themselves, fear spreading. One muttered, "If she's bound to him, others could be too." Another replied, "If this spreads, no empire will be safe." The weight of those words hung heavy in the air, and the human realized the truth. This wasn't just about her. This was about all of humanity. The galaxy had seen human weapons, human ships, human courage, but they had never seen this. A power humans didn't even know they carried. A power no one could resist. The girl crawled closer, her claws scraping across the floor with each step. Her voice broke as she whispered, "Do not push me away. If you leave me, I will burn. If you reject me, I will die." Tears glimmered in her glowing eyes. It wasn't just hunger anymore. It was desperation. The human clenched his fists, torn between fear and compassion. He crouched down slowly, lowering himself to her level, and in a voice steady but heavy, he said, "Then we will face this together, but not as chains, not as slaves. We will find the truth of what this is." The crowd fell silent. The girl shivered at his words, her body trembling violently. Her instincts twisted his promise into something deeper. To her, it was not just comfort. It was a vow. A vow she would die to protect. The guards exchanged tense looks. They could not act, now, not when the girl was bound and the human had taken responsibility. But whispers spread quickly through the station. Whispers of humanity's hidden weapon. Whispers of fear, of empires trembling at the thought of what might come next. The human helped her rise to her feet. Her claws shook. Her body leaned against him, as if gravity itself demanded it. And as the two of them stood together in the middle of the silent corridor, one truth echoed across the station. The galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. Asterisk. The truth of humanity, the silence after her declaration, did not last long. The guards whispered into their comms, voices sharp with fear. Station alarms flickered red along the walls, echoing across the sector. Word was already spreading, faster than any ship could fly. The old warnings, the forgotten legends, they were alive again. The human stood still, his hand resting lightly against her shoulder. She leaned into him, trembling, her claws shaking at her sides. Every breath she took was tied to him now, her instincts bound her completely, and though he hadn't asked for it, he carried her survival in his very presence. The council chamber lights blazed into life only hours later. He was summoned, not as a guest, but as a threat. The girl stood behind him, still trembling, her glowing eyes fixed only on him. Dozens of alien representatives filled the room, their voices overlapping in chaos. Some shouted for his imprisonment. Others demanded the human race be tested, studied, controlled. But a few those who remembered the oldest archives sat in silent terror. The lead counselor slammed his hand against the table. This cannot be ignored. One human scent has brought an entire warrior to her knees. What will happen if more are exposed? What happens when billions walk the stars? The chamber echoed with fear. The girl growled low from behind the human, her body tense. She pressed closer to him, as if to remind them she belonged to him now. The human raised his voice for the first time in the chamber. You speak as if I chose this. I did not. I never wanted this power. But if what you say is true, then the danger isn't me. It's what you do with the knowledge of it. His words cut through the noise. The counselors quieted, staring at him. He wasn't armed. He wasn't trained as a soldier, yet his words carried more weight than fleets. One counselor whispered, barely audible, the ancients feared this very thing. Humanity does not conquer with war. They conquer with something deeper, something no empire can. Resist. The words spread like fire through the chamber. Some looked horrified, others enraged, and in that moment, the human understood. The galaxy didn't just fear what he could do. They feared what all of humanity might be capable of. The girl trembled violently, her claws digging into the table behind him. Her voice cracked as she cried, You cannot take me from him. You cannot break this bond. If you try, I will die, and I will take half this station with me. The chamber erupted again in chaos. Guards raised their weapons, but none dared fire, because they could feel it too, the pull. In the air, the unseen storm gathering. It wasn't just inside her anymore. It was spreading. Every alien in the chamber could sense it now. A pressure, a weight, something they could not name. The human felt it as well. For the first time, he realized it wasn't just her instincts. It was him. Something inside him was awakening too. Something humanity had carried for centuries without ever knowing. He swallowed hard, his voice steady but heavy. This isn't a curse. This is what we are. And if the galaxy cannot live with it, then you will have to learn to fear us. The words slammed into the chamber like thunder. Some counselors recoiled in rage, others in silence. The truth was undeniable now. One human had bound one of their strongest warriors. If humanity spread, if humanity walked the stars in numbers, no empire, no council, no fleet would remain untouched. The girl pressed closer against him, her glowing eyes soft now. Her body still trembled, but her voice steadied. You don't see it, do you? You think this is weakness, but it is not. It is power, the kind of power no weapon can stop. The human looked out the chamber window at the stars beyond. Countless worlds, countless empires, all of them watching, all of them waiting. He had not come here seeking power, but power had found him. And now every step humanity took would echo across the galaxy, not through guns, not through ships, but through the very essence of what they were. The chamber descended into shouting again. Some demanded his death, others demanded surrender. But beneath it all ran a current of fear, the kind of fear that changes history. The human's jaw tightened as he spoke one last time. Humanity never asked for this, but now that you've seen it, you will never forget it. You can fight us, or you can fear us. Either way, the galaxy will never be the same. The girl's claws tightened against his arm, her voice a whisper only he could hear. You are mine, but more than that. You are theirs, and they will never escape what you are. The human exhaled slowly. His eyes locked on the stars. For the first time, he understood. The war had already begun, not with weapons, but with scent, instinct, and fear, and it would end only one way, with humanity standing at the center of the galaxy, unchallenged, asterisk.